Hey everyone, nice to see you all here. This is Mike, Senior Business Development Manager here at NSYS Group. Today we're organizing a webinar regarding the machine learning and artificial intelligence. Hot topic for today, as you all know, the AI is getting more and more adopted in everyday's life. So we're gonna talk about it and machine learning in the context of dealing with the used refurbished mobile phones. So we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about the used phone market in general. Again, as always, since this is a live webinar, you'll have the possibility of ask any questions that you might have. So feel free to drop your questions in the chat, and we'll make sure that we'll leave some time at the end of the webinar to answer these questions. Cool. So let's start with the overall overview of the used and refurbished phone market, right? As you all may know, right, the used and refurbished phone market is a growing market, and it grows on average 10% year over year, right? And users of phones, they tend to use one model for 3 to 4 years, right? And also one of the advantage of buying a refurbished phone is that it's 50% cheaper than buying a new phone. So more and more people are looking into buying a refurbished phone or a used phone as an alternative to buying a new device, right? And this is where we as a company and our solutions also come into play, helping companies to better serve the end users by providing them more quality devices. If we talk about the device evaluation, right, and how AI comes into play here, right? So when we're talking about used devices, right, first of all, we all understand that customers, they want a quality phone, right? When they're buying a used device or refurbished device, they normally buy it with a warranty, right? So it's common to have a 12-month warranty on a refurbished phone, which is identical to the length of the warranty when you're buying a new device. So customers expect sort of like the same quality of the phone, right? Sometimes I've even seen companies who are providing 24, I even think I saw someone providing 36 months of warranty on a refurbished phone, which is unprecedented, right? You don't even get that with a new device. So when we're talking about that, right, especially when we're talking about selling a refurbished phone to an end user, the quality and the quality of evaluation of the device is really key. So difficulties of evaluation, right? When you're dealing with a used phone, right? There's of course a possibility of errors, right? Human errors. First of all, when we talk about the aesthetic state of the device, right? When we are evaluating how the phone looks, every person will evaluate it differently, right? For someone, as you know, in the industry, there is a standard of grade A phones, grade B phones. Some people call them mint, pristine, right? But the idea is that there is a certain hierarchy of aesthetic condition of the phone, right? And when companies are dealing with used phones, they sort of need to put a certain phone in a certain group, right? Whether it's, a phone that is sort of like new, phone that is in fair condition, has signs of use. And when companies are evaluating that, they are relying on people like you and I to properly grade this phone, right? To evaluate what sort of condition what sort of category it falls into. So that's one issue, right? The second one is a problem that a phone might have in terms of its functionality, right? So you have to make sure that phone key components are working properly, right? So we're talking about audio, we're talking about the quality of the signal, we're talking about the quality of the battery. If you're dealing with used and refurbished phones, if you were selling phones to end users, you know that lots of times when you sell a phone, you check everything. Once you received it from your supplier, everything is fine. After some time, customer returns their phone complaining that the audio is not good, the battery drains out really fast. So in order to address those issues before you actually sell a phone to an end user, you need to make sure that all key functionalities are working properly, right? And if you're doing that manually, that also takes time, and you're also dealing with a human error and with the possibility that your employees or even yourself can just forget to check a certain functionality. Right. So there is this issue, as well as you can misidentify, a scratch or a dent on a phone, right? You can assign incorrect grade due to that, right? And of course, we're talking about subjectivity, right? If you have more than one employee, you're doomed to have this different opinion across even your own organization, right? Even though you might have a certain standard or a certain guideline, still the employees might make mistakes, right? I just want to remind you at this point that this is a live webinar. Feel free to ask any questions in the chat box. I'll be happy to answer them at the end of the demo. So moving forward from here, right, let's talk a little bit about machine learning and artificial intelligence, right? So in terms of the machine learning, right, it's a subset of artificial intelligence. It allows the machine to learn on large data sets, right? It uses that to detect some commonalities, some common patterns, and make decisions based on that. We're going to talk a bit more in detail about machine learning with regards to our own technology that we use, or related to the grading of phones later on. So let's leave that thought for now. When we're talking about the benefits, right, you might think why you might want to consider using machine learning or AI in smartphone evaluation, right? At the end of the day, maybe you have skilled technicians who are already, know how to properly evaluate the phone, how to check it, how to grade it. So let's talk about the benefits here a little bit. So the first one is, of course, objectivity, right? So you have the same standard across your organization, and it's easy to scale that because you have a process that is repeatable, and it's easy to, let's say, it's kind of like a safety net for you in case your employee decides to quit. You don't need to actually spend so much time and resource on training of new employees, because you have this technology that helps your workers do their job more efficiently, and the process of onboarding new employees is much simpler when you have tools that help them in their everyday life, right? So there is that huge benefit, right? This is especially valuable where we're talking about the cosmetic evaluation of the phone, right? So when we are evaluating the device grade, right, we're normally looking for signs of wear, we're looking for scratches, we're looking for dents. And this is especially important because the grading normally drives the price of the phone, right? So grade A will cost more expensive than grade B, and grade C will be much cheaper than grade A and grade B, right? So here it's really important to have a specific standard of grading, right? Because if you misgrade the phone, there is a possibility of revenue loss, right? Because if you just assign a different grade, sell it at a different price, or buy it as at a price that is not correct, you're risking losing money on that. So having a standard here is really important, and AI helps to address this issue because if you have people who are doing grading, they're going to be subjective, and you have a risk even if you have strong guidelines in place of employees grading their phone differently. And with a tool that is using AI technology, you're able to have this standard across the board. And also, let's not forget about speed and efficiency of checking, right? Because automation is here to make our lives simpler, right? And using tools that are using machine learning algorithms, that are using AI, help us to do our work faster and make it more efficient. Here we can talk about our products and their role in solving the problem. Just to give you a brief recap, NSYS is an ecosystem of different products, right, that are all aimed at making the evaluation and testing process of used and refurbished phones more automated, more efficient. And if we are talking in the context of AI, the first product that actually jumps to mind is an ANSYS auto grading, right? So this is the product that we've built with the aim to make the grading process as simple and as transparent as possible, because as I said earlier, that's very important process when you're dealing with used phones, because the grade actually drives the price of the phone. So we've built this process to provide companies in this industry with a standard of how they can grade their phones, right? So the first benefit, of course, here is the objectivity of the evaluation process, right? Because you're using ML algorithms. We have computer vision in our grading application. We have 100,000 data set of photos that we've actually collected, that we've trained our machine learning algorithms on. And this allows us to be confident in the fact that you can use auto grading to actually standardize your whole process, right? Of course, speed is also one of the important factors here as well, because you're able to check the device thoroughly, right? You just need to take 6 pictures of the phone, for the sides of the phone, and the app will do the grading for you, right? You'll have the history of those photos, so you'll have a very transparent process, right? And this will also allow you to have more control over the grading process, right? It's no longer going to be a mystery of, let's say, your employee graded the phone A, and there is no way of you checking why they actually graded the phone A, for example, right? And in this case, you're going to have photos, you're going to have the whole history of checks assigned to your specific users. So you're going to be able to actually control and understand who did what and why they created the phone the way they did that. And of course, when we are talking about the automated grading here, let's not forget about the accuracy, right? It's all about having this same standard of grading across your organization, which will also help you provide the accurate grade of the phone. And also you can use that with our buyback product, where you can automatically evaluate the price of the phone based on the functionality test and based on the cosmetic grading evaluations. So you can actually use this automated technology to determine the fair trade-in price for a certain device that you want to buy from your customer, right? If we're talking about the real cases, right, of implementation, one of the first users actually of this technology was our customer, Goodcom, who's a retailer of new and used phones. They have more than 20 years of expertise working in this area. And they have, if I'm not mistaken, 43 retail shops at the moment. And what was the challenge that they faced, right? They had two problems that they mentioned when we started working with them. First was that their staff incorrectly identified, scratches, chips, dents on the device. And there were also some fraudulent activity that they also detected when their staff had to actually evaluate the phone for trading. Yep, their business model is, of course, buying and selling used phones, but also buying phones through trade-in programs. So as you can understand, the accurate and proper grading in this scenario is really, really important. And 2 years ago, actually, about the time where we developed this technology, they started to use that to eliminate the subjectivity during the evaluation and human errors. As the results, right, they were managed to reduce errors, obviously, right? So they had the same standard that they can use across their organization. The evaluation takes around 1 minute, right, to understand the proper grade of the phone, which is faster than the way it was earlier. Employees had to consult their guidelines, check that, count the number of scratches, for example, check where specifically on the device they had those scratches. But instead of this tedious manual process, they now have a technology that does everything automatically for them. And that's why they're able to test the devices faster. And also one of the important benefits, maybe first on the list actually, is that this technology made it easier for them to expand their trade and business, right? Because what they also do is partner with other retail chains as their buyback partners. So they're actually buying phones through other retail shops, and having this technology made it easier to convince other potential partners and also roll out their buyback partnership scheme across other shops as well, have more control over that, because when you're working with other partners, you don't have necessarily control over their employees, but having this technology allows you to make the buyback and trading process easier when you're working with other retail partners. And when we're talking about AI and machine learning, it's impossible not to mention our newest invention, which is Riva robotic solution. So Riva actually embodies all the softwares that we've built up to this point, right? So when we're talking about Riva, what this is, right? So it's actually not a big machine, right? It's a tabletop. I have actually one here with me at our office, so you can take a look here near a bottle of water. So you see it's not really big, right? So it's a small machine that has our diagnostic software implemented in it, our grading software implemented in it, and also the buyback software too. So what it allows you to do, right? It allows you to fully automate the device evaluation process, right? And you can use it both in the warehouse scenario where, for example, you're a company that is buying, let's say, huge lots of phones, right? If you're dealing with, let's say, hundreds, thousands of phones per day, and your employees have to process them, you can use this technology to actually streamline your testing process and also standardizes across your organization, because the robotic solution uses AI machine learning algorithms. So you can be sure that the process is same, is repeatable, the phones are checked in the same way, and reduce the human error element, because everything is checked automatically by the machine. But another use case is using this in your retail shop, right? Using this as a way to determine the trade-in and buyback value of the phone, right? So imagine someone comes in to your shop and wants to sell their phone to you, right? Let's say it's an iPhone, and you can have, for example, your guidelines, and you can have your prices in Excel or maybe your own in-house developed software, and your users, your employees in the shops are using that to evaluate the price of the phone. But it takes time, and it's not really something that you can scale, right? Instead, you can use the machine where you put the phone in, you launch the process. First, the machine will take photos of your phone to determine the grade through the machine learning algorithms. Then it will run through the series of diagnostics tests, right, to check all key functionalities of the phone. And then the real magic happens. The device will give you the price right on the screen, right, for how much this phone is worth, right? Of course, you as a business owner, you determine the conditions, right, how the price should actually change. You determine the price itself, right, the maximum buyback price for a certain device. And based on these conditions, based on the grading results, based on the diagnostics and some custom questions that you may add to the process as well, the machine will give you the price on the screen. And we can already tell you that this will have a huge positive impact on your conversion rates, because your conversion from an offer to actually purchasing a trade-in device, because we've noticed that people, they trust this technology more when they see that the price appears on the screen of the machine. There is actually more trust that this is indeed a true value of the device, rather than you or your employees telling them the price over the counter, right? Because they assume that the machine has no interest, right? It's an objective evaluation, and also it's a good good reason to attract more traffic to your shop. We've seen that pretty much everywhere we've piloted the robotics technology, we've seen that the foot traffic in the shop increased, right? One of the on the latest webinar that we had with ProMobi, our partners here in Serbia, who also had this robotic solution in their Samsung authorized shop, they told us that the foot traffic was comparable to Black Friday or even Christmas times, when they published an advertisement that they have this Riva technology in their shops. So this is also a good opportunity for trading partners. And of course, yeah, we've kind of covered that a lot today, right? But just to recap, the advantages are, of course, accuracy, right? You reduce human errors from the evaluation process. It's more efficient than a manual process of the phone, right? Standardization also, in my opinion, a very big benefit here, because it allows you to scale easily, right? To other locations, to add more workstations into your process. And of course, speed, right? When we're talking about one robotic line, and when we're talking about one robotic line, we're talking about having 5 robots that one operator uses in parallel, right? This is more a warehouse scenario where you have 5 robots in one line, and you're using the conveyor principle where you insert the phone in each robot and they start process automatically. And this is a hack that you can use to actually speed up the testing process in the warehouse. Yeah, so I guess that's what we've wanted to discuss today with you. Now we have time to answer questions. I see that we have a few questions in the chat, so I encourage you to post your questions in the chat. We'll be happy to answer them. So let's actually go through them. So we have a question from Glab. I have an employee who always checks the external condition of the phone perfectly. Why do I need your software? Great question. So actually, as I said, if you have one employee who checks the phone and he's very skilled, he is able, or she is able to determine the grade of the phone accurately, there's a possibility that you don't need a grading software if you have one employee who does that perfectly. But if you have 2 employees, if you have 3, if you have 5, 10, right, everyone will do that differently, right? If you only have one person who is doing the grading process, fine. If you have an expert, especially who has a lot of experience, you might not need this technology. But this is really key if you're looking to scale your business, and this is really key when you need to have a tool that will allow you to control the performance and the evaluation process across the whole organization. Hope I've answered that. If you need any clarification, please feel free to drop another question in the chat. Pierre asks, how does the accuracy and reliability of the NSYS auto grading system compare to traditional device evaluation methods? So a good question. Thanks, Pierre. So in terms of the accuracy and reliability compared to traditional methods, so the traditional method would be the manual inspection of the phone by your employee, right? And again, if you have someone who is, an expert in their field, someone who's really skilled, has years of experience, of course, for them, it's not gonna be a big value of using a technology like ours. But this will be really helpful when you have someone who is less experienced, when you have a larger team, right? So in any case, when you have more than one person who is doing the evaluation of the device, it would be beneficial for you to use a technology like ours just because it will provide you with this standard, right? So let's say 5 people will grade the phone in 5 different ways, but 5 employees who have the same tool will actually grade it in a similar way. So the one of the biggest advantages, in my opinion, here is that you'll have this same standard of device checking that will just help you in the business process, right? In understanding what's the actual grade, what's the actual price of the specific device, and also it will provide you with the transparency because when we are grading the phone, we're taking the photos, right? So how it technically happens is that we take photos of different sides of the device, which are sent to our cloud database where it's ran against the data set that we have from machine learning algorithms. And in the application, will give you the grade of the phone. And you, for example, let's say as a business owner, you'll be able to have this history of evaluation and history of photos in your cloud database that you can always address to, right? Which is not the case when you're using traditional methods with your employees checking phones manually. Hope I've answered that. Again, if you need any clarifications, please feel free to drop a question in the chat. Gleb asks, how many devices does the Riva robot process per hour? So that depends on the process, right? If we're talking about the buyback scenario where we're taking pictures of the phone, running the functionality test, and giving the buyback price based on that, the whole process will take 5 to 6 minutes per phone. If we're talking about the case where you only need the functionality tests, right? Let's say it's a warehouse scenario where you're working with refurbished phones that are, let's say, of the same grade anyway, and you need to check the functionality. It might take around 3 minutes per device. In the warehouse scenario, it is advisable to use the robotics line, right? So as I mentioned, you can use the robotics line of 5 robots per operator. And the idea is that the operator will feed the phones inside the machine. And this will allow to be much more productive, right? Because in this case, you'll have 5 phones that will be tested in parallel, which can, of course, increase the efficiency of tests, right? So in this case, you'll be able to process up to 60 phones per hour if you're using the robotics line of 5 robots and 1 operator. Another question, how many minutes does it take for a complete inspection of one device with external condition assessment, full diagnostics, and data wipe? So yeah, if we're talking about the full process with automated grading, diagnostics, and data ratio, we're looking at between 5 to 6 minutes per device. Pablo asks, what are the requirements to use the grading software? So a good question here, right? Because with the grading software, there are a few requirements, a few guidelines that we would like you to follow on. They are related to the setup where you're taking your photos, right? So it is advisable to achieve the best results is to have a similar setup that you can replicate across your different shops or across your warehouse locations. So it's ideal to have a white background where you're taking photos and good lighting, right? Of course, not to have any other external objects in the frame of the photo, right? So that the machine learning will properly evaluate the device, right? But beyond that, you just need to have another phone with preferably good camera, which you will use to take pictures of another phone that you would like to grade. And basically, that. Which phone can you use? Pretty much any phone with a good camera. I personally have iPhone 13, works great on that. So any iPhone with a good camera, or Androids have good cameras now as well. When we're talking about good quality of cameras, I think we can all be pretty much on the same page on what we mean by that. And when we're talking about the robotic solution, by the way, the only requirement is to actually insert a phone in, and you don't have to do anything else, because there the conditions for the grading will be identical, right? You'll have similar grading setup, you'll have the similar cameras, right? Actually, yeah, Pablo asks another great question. What is the difference between manual AI grading and automated AI grading? So that's what I'm talking about now, right? So with the auto grading app, you have another phone that you're using, right, to actually take pictures of the phone that you're grading. And with the robotics technology, you're just inserting the phone inside the machine, and it automatically takes photos and gives you the result, right? So with the auto grading app, you're able to actually take pictures of the phone, and with the robotics, it does that for you. Do NSYS certify the grading? So we, let's say if we're talking about grading as the overall process of device evaluation, then yeah, you have, of course, NSYS certification that you can print out after the phone was tested with all the test results, with the information about the phone, make, model, memory, color, that you can, and a lot of our users are printing that as a label that they put on the phone, or as an A4 format PDF with test results that they're providing their customers as a proof that the phone was thoroughly tested with the industry standard technology. So in that case, yes, of course, we certify the phone evaluation process. And all in all, just want to remind you that you can choose which process is going to be suitable for you, right? So when you speak with any of our experts, of course, our goal is to provide a tailor-made solution specifically for your business needs, right? So we can discuss whether the robotic technology would be a good fit for you, whether a software technology would be a good fit for you, which specific product is more related to your specific business case, and how you can actually set up this process, right? So we're always happy to share our best practices with you in terms of how you can actually set up the testing process, the data erasure, the grading process. We're also ready to help you with the setup of your buyback and trading program, because we are always keeping our hand on the pulse, always asking feedback from our existing and potential customers, and looking for most efficient ways of actually, using our products to help increase efficiency of testing, and help to reduce the return rate of our customers. And we're, always happy to see that our customers actually thriving after implementing our solutions. Just recently checked one of the stats of our prominent customers who are ready to test up to 50 phones per hour using the NSYS diagnostic software. which I'm always glad to see that our customers are able to actually hit those numbers, be as efficient as possible, and also reduce the return rate in the process, because those factors are key when growing the business, right? Having less returns and having quicker turnaround of phones, because it allows you to sell phones at their maximum value, right? Because used phones, their value tends to decrease with time, right? And also having less returns helps you to have more healthy revenue stream, right? You're not spending money of shipping phones back and forth to your customer from your customer. Um, yeah, so that's what we've wanted to cover. Again, thank you guys for joining in. In case you have any other questions, please feel free to contact us. Visit our website, which is nsysgroup.com. You can contact me personally as well. My email is Mike, MIKE, at answersgroup.com. I'll be happy to connect with you, answer all the questions, and discuss how our solutions can help in your used phone business. And yeah, that's basically it. Thanks again, everyone, for joining. It was great to speak with you. Thanks, everyone, for your questions. And until the next one, bye for now.